You've probably heard of the Hingham Community Center, South Shore Plaza Mall, Derby Street Shops, and Legacy Place in Dedham. They all have one person in common, Carolyn Kennedy. Welcome, Carolyn.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here
Well,
and tell you about what's going on with the community center.
And thank you. We appreciate your taking the time out of your busy schedule to be here. So tell me a little bit about your role at the Hingham Community Center. As I understand it, this is a new position that you've been in there for?
Yep, I've only been there for 4 months, and it is a new position. The board of directors wanted a new position because they wanted a new avenue for the Hingham Community Center. We have been known in the past in most people's lives in Hingham. People remember going there when they were children and dancing there and going to ballroom there, and fathers went to learn how to dance for their daughter's wedding there. And recently, in the past 5 years, it's changed a little bit. And the board of directors thought that maybe it was time for another change. A change where we could involve more of the community at the community center. And that's what I'm doing.
Now, a little bit about yourself. Could you share a little bit about what were you doing before you joined the Hingham Community Center?
And what gives me the gall to do it?
Yes. Why would you want to?
Why would I want to do that? I've always been an advocate of the community. I grew up in Newton, Massachusetts, not down here, and we were very community-minded. The only thing I knew about was the retail world. So I went to Filene's, which is a department store, and I worked my way up. I went to their executive training program. I graduated from that, but there was something new coming and being developed called the shopping center industry. So I went and I got a job as director of marketing for Shoppers World in Framingham, Massachusetts. And from there, I went for 35 years in the shopping center industry. And then a company called New England Development asked me if I would be interested in developing something new, an outdoor shopping center. The reason they called me was because when I first started with Framingham, in Framingham at Shoppers World, it was an outdoor shopping center. And so was South Shore and North Shore, and the same company owned all three. So I had some experience in working with outdoor shopping centers. And that's when I started working at Derby Street and developing the concept of an outdoor shopping center. And I loved it. Hingham was probably one of my most favorite towns in the South Shore. I was very lucky because my parents and all my family had their beach cottages. We summered down in Hummerock Beach. So I bought a house, of course, along with my sisters and cousins, all in Hummerock Beach. So I was at a time in my life that I was empty nesting, and I wanted to start anew. So I came down, and I started living in my beach cottage. Wonderful, wonderful to wake up in the morning next to the ocean. Mm-hmm. That's a little bit of my career, but how did I get to the Hingham Community Center? The first thing I wanted to do when I retired from the shopping center industry was go back to my roots, and my roots were acting. And so I went to Norwell, and I was with the company theater for 2 years. But I quickly figured out, though, that it wasn't meant for me to be on the stage anymore. My days were over. The talent that went through that place, the young, wonderful talent, I couldn't and wouldn't compete with that. So I did the business end of that. And I stayed with them for 2 years. And I got a phone call from the Hingham Community Center saying, you helped them out and got them out of, 501c3s have a problem with cash flow sometimes. Sure. And they get behind the 8 ball. And they need a little help from a business person to get them out of it. So I did do that with the community theater. And they knew about it. Everyone kind of knew about it. So they asked me from the Hingham Community Center to come and help them and put them in a new direction. For some reason, they thought I could do that, but I also thought I could do that. And I was really excited about the opportunity. And I've been there now for 4 months.
Well, what I'd love our listeners to hear more about is what you've put in place just in this short span of 4 months. Tell us about this event series that you're planning.
One of the things that I thought I would like to do is expand the community involvement. And to do that, we had to do something that would help the rest of the community understand that the community house was not just for kids, for dancing. That's what it was for the past 5 years, but there was more to it than that. So one of my background things is I love music, I love authors, I love speakers, so why not do a series with all three of those things? And that's why these things happen to come about. And we call it the Hingham Community Spring Event Series, which we'll be having different venues of music being played during the months of March, April, and some of May.
If I might hold this up for the
Oh, sure,
camera,
please.
and why don't you sort of walk us through what you have planned starting in March, next month?
March 4th, which is a Sunday, it's at 3 p.m., we've got Ulster Landing, which is Celtic music. This is a very big Irish community down here, and I thought that would be nice to start out with that. So that'll start out on March 4th. And then we have the Magic of Motown, always a big, big favorite. Then we have the comic hypnotist. I've seen this guy. He is terrific. He's a magician and a hypnotist, and he just gets the audience involved in everything that he does. Right now, Jimmy Buffett is hot because he's on Broadway.
Yes.
And I just saw there was a Jimmy Buffett tribute. I thought that would be a fun thing to do here. And then we've got a jazz trio coming in. There isn't that many places that you can get a little bit of jazz fix down here in South Shore. So I thought that would be interesting. And I was right. People want to come and see jazz. And then we have a Sinatra tribute, and that's for me and my family, I'll be honest with you.
Okay.
Love the man, love Sinatra. This guy I saw, he's very good at what he does, and I wanted to give him a chance to show a lot of people what he can do. So that'll be a music series, something for everyone.
Very nice. Now, what do you say to the listener who might say, but aren't you sort of duplicating some of the venues that we might already have here on the South Shore and perhaps might right here in Hingham?
Yes, there is musical groups everywhere. Most of for instance, the community theater also has musical groups. We have the River Club, they have musical groups. In the summertime, they have South Shore. All of them are different. This brings more variety to the South Shore, and that's what I'd like to do. I would like to present as much variety as I can to our patrons.
I also see that you have a Wednesday night speaker series. Tell me about that.
Yes, and we've selected interesting ones. I hope we have five people coming in, and I hope in the fall we have another 5. The 5 that we have coming in is Anthony Amore, who is the security director at the Gardner Museum when the heist took place. So there's been a lot of news events following that forever.
Yes.
And he's going to be able to answer some inside questions that is not in the media at this time.
That should be an interesting
And I'm looking
night.
forward to that.
Yes.
Neil Miller. Neil is the author of How Moral Groups Made Boston. Boston was always known to be a little bit racy. And this person knows the insides and the outsides of that, and I thought she'd be interesting. And provocative. I needed a provocative speaker in there, and that's it. Dan Shaughnessy, an old favorite.
Oh, yes.
You know, we put the tickets on sale, and Dan's almost sold out. So
Wow.
I'm excited about that.
Note to our listeners, Dan is almost sold out.
Note to our
Okay.
listeners.
Yes.
Casey Sherman is the author of The Finest Hour and Boston Strong. They made a movie out of it. He lives locally, and they made a movie called Boston Strong, and now they're making a movie out of his second book. So it's going to be interesting when he talks to us about the differences between the two books and the differences between the two movies. Doug Most is the managing editor of the Boston Globe, and is going to be speaking about the history of the subway of Boston. Lots of things happened there. It was not without a lot of problems. Boston was one of the first underground to be happening.
Yes.
And to tell you the truth, with all the talk now about the MBTA and them expanding everything, I thought it'd be nice to go back and talk about the roots. And that's what Doug will be doing for us.
That's outstanding. So the music series take place on Sundays and Saturdays,
Right.
3 p.m. or 7:30 p.m., whereas the speaker series, these are held in the evenings as well?
They're held at 7:30 every
Okay.
Wednesday evening.
All right.
And what I wanted to do is get them all the same so you wouldn't forget. This is the speaker series. And I wanted, the weekend is more for fun. The week, it's more serious to do something during the week, like a speaker series, and not a musical series.
Well, you certainly have priced the speaker series at a very affordable rate at $10 a person. That's pretty good. How do you plan to promote this?
Through you.
All right.
And thank you for asking me all those wonderful questions. I appreciate it. We also are doing our newspaper, and we're doing a lot with social media. We have a huge list. We are reaching out to some community groups, and we are offering tickets to them, and they've been appreciative of it.
Where do you see the community center going? What is your vision for the community center and the long context, if you will?
I have a vision with the board of directors, and that is get as many people interested in the community center as we can, and position ourselves in the community different from our competition. You mentioned our competition before.
Yes.
There's always going to be competition. What I have to do is really evaluate what I think people are not being offered. There's tons of sports events, sporting events, and there's a lot of musical events.
Right.
And we have a wonderful conservatory who's doing a lot with music, teaching music, music for children, music for adults. But there is more to this community than music and sports. There's acting.
Yes.
We have cooking. We're doing a lot with Eastern medicine. We have a program now that you can follow your ancestry or learn about doing your ancestry. We've got kids cooking shows coming in. And we do a lot with adults who want exercise. We have 3 different types of yoga. We do Tai Chi. We do karate. And these are all programs that have been in the past, but are getting bigger and better now. And we're, of course, adding to them.
So by adding the arts, particularly those offerings geared toward the adult audience, if you will, sort of creates perhaps an opportunity for the Hingham Center at large to have perhaps a night out on Hingham.
Oh, I would love that. Next year, if this goes over well, and of course I propose it will, but what I'd like to do is do this in tandem with some of the local restaurants. In other words, talk to them about giving a discount and maybe doing a whole night in Hingham.
It reminds me of an experience that I was witness to in the early to mid 90s. I was living in South Florida, Delray Beach to be exact. And in Delray Beach, there's this Atlantic Avenue, that is full of antique shops and galleries. And it was an idea by the Delray Beach Chamber of Commerce to choose one night a month and ask the store owners, the shopkeepers, to extend their hours by a couple of hours and use that extended period of time to highlight some of the arts, the shops that were there, the galleries that were there, and giving the patrons who might be working, let's say on a Thursday after work, give them an opportunity to come out and see and patronize. That idea has taken off to a point now where it is perhaps with the exception of South Beach, one of the more sought after destinations in South Florida today, without all of the craziness, but rather this is an opportunity for adults to come out, to enjoy live music, to take in the galleries, to patronize some of the antique shops, and not to suggest that this is where Hingham needs to be, but you do have a gem of sort sitting in Hingham Center. Would you agree?
It's funny that you'd say that. Why? Why not? I think that's a super idea. We have got to encourage the cultural Hingham. And I think that's a good way to do it. This is only the beginning. This is what I see now. One of the things that the board of directors and I have talked about was developing the backyard, which is right now nothing. So the backyard, what I'd like to do is put gardens so we can have venues, music venues there, where we can have art shows there, where we can play bocce and croquet. I read that at the Hingham Community Center, they used to have croquet competitions there. I'd like to go back and do that.
That's a novel idea, to go back to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It will happen. Let me ask you a question. You know a little bit about me. We've been talking.
Yes.
Tell me about what you would like to see at the Hingham Community Center.
Oh, wow. You know, I grew up here on the South Shore, and don't hold it against me. I grew up in Duxbury. But I've been here in this Hingham Hull area for now going on 9 years. And that was after living down south, living out on the West Coast, and then, of course, in Florida. One of the things that I like about this area is that it is very rich in its cultural offerings, although they are, in some contexts, a little isolated. You know, if I want to hear local music, I've got to search out the individual bars, if you will, or restaurants that might be featuring live music. If I want to take in the visual arts, then of course, you know, we've got the theaters here, the Patriot Theater, we've got the theater there in the Shipyard, we've got even by the Shipyard, they might even put up you know, one of the portable outdoor screens.
Yep.
In that little court area between Beer Works and Almanova, where the families can sit during the summer and enjoy a free film. I think that's fantastic. That's wonderful. But to your question, having a place, one place that you can go to take in, whether it's the listening to live music, whether it's taking in an art exhibit, whether it's taking in a lecture series, sort of that smorgasbord, that full-service arts center here in town, that's certainly something that would appeal to me, and I would hope would appeal to others who might fit similar, maybe the baby boomers generation, who don't want to travel too far, don't want to get out on the expressway and drive all the way into Boston or further south to Plymouth, but what do we have right here in our area? So that's what I'd love to see the community center do, if it's possible.
You and I are in the same ship. That's exactly what I want to happen. It's going to take a while for it to happen, but that's what I want to ask our audience is, what do you want to see? What you're saying is where I think I should be going. I think it's going to be fun, but I need to understand exactly what you want. For example, movies. Do I do kids' movies in the summertime out back, along with having hot dogs and pizza? You know, having a night out for the family, have a family night. Inside, I could probably throw up something indoors and do some, you know, a movie series, a film series. I could have one of the things that I really loved was they're called poetry slams or, or storytelling. That's the other venue that I would like to introduce to Hingham. I don't know how many people would like it. I just know that I love it. And there are a group of people, I think, that will do it. I did something like it at the Company Theater in Norwell, and it sold 360 seats for a storytelling. I hear you're a storyteller.
I do like to storytell, and it is a growing.
Yep, it really is.
If you think about it, it's an ancient art form, perhaps one of the original forms of recording, or oral history, if you will. It reminds me of the origins of Chaucer's Canterbury Tales, but to bring it into an entertainment context today, particularly among our millennials who might not appreciate some of the rich stories that us baby boomers are capable of sharing. So to the extent that the community center can help support that, I mean, I applaud it. I would certainly be one of your stronger supporters to make that happen.
Well, it's off the beaten trail, but who knows? Maybe the millennials will love it. They're not exposed to it. It's rich. It really is. Storytelling is something rich. Maybe if they see it, or if they can, be part of it even.
Yes.
I think it would help. Maybe we should start introducing. Maybe I could go to the charter school. I do a lot with the charter school. That would be something that I bet those kids would really get into. I think that's our future, and I think we've got to address all of those things. Anything that we can do that will help kids stop putting their faces in their phones. Sorry, that's a terrible thing to say. I think would be really important. I have done something called the Hub, which is for teenagers, for them to drop by. We lose them once they get their licenses, but I would like to offer them a venue that they could come by and come after school and do some homework, or do a program, or even play games with other people or other kids their age, and do something outside. I think that outdoors is a very important thing that people don't do anymore. They don't spend enough time outdoors, and I'd like to encourage that at the community center as much as I possibly can. Do stuff outside. Kids, go out and play. And this is for all children and adults.
And adults, for sure.
And adults.
Yes. Looking at your past work, particularly in the malls, I want to go back and visit that for just a moment. And you and I have talked previously about some of our past work in education and promoting the arts, and how they perhaps could intersect in some of these common venues, these areas, i.e. be the malls and other retail and art centers-based space. What do you see as the future? What does that look like insofar as mixed-use venues, whether they be for restaurants, in combination with the arts, in combination with educational settings? Do you have thoughts and feelings about what that might look like going forward?
That's already going forward, not particularly here on the East Coast. On the West Coast, that is going forward. There are live theaters in most shopping centers that are being built in the West Coast and in the Midwest. Venues like, there's places that you can go in a shopping center and eat, play chess, have chess tournaments. It's all about the entertainment value in shopping. Shopping is no longer the predominant thing that happens. Shopping center industry is also going downtown, where the culture is. And there is things like art shows that you can go to. You can also go to a shopping center and not just shop or eat. They have venues now that you can throw pottery, learn how to draw. So they are doing that. You're going to be seeing that here because it has to be. Amazon and the internet have really taken a chunk out of the brick and mortar
Indeed they
establishments. So they have to do something else. And they've already started by, in Dedham, we put in at Legacy Place, not your grandmother's bowling alley. And that's been a huge success. They started that there, and now they have 5 of them throughout the country. it's that type of thing that's going to be happening more and more. And they're going to be you will have a cultural experience when you go there. It's important. It's important because we have to bring it to you, and you go to the shopping centers. So it makes it an important and valuable thing to do for a shopping center developer to know that he has to do more than give you a shopping experience. He has to give you a little bit more.
Well, we're looking forward to it. Well, is there anything else that we want to cover?
Nope.
I think
I
we've
just want
covered it.
everyone to contact me. Not everyone, please.
Yes. Okay. What number and website can we?
Go right to our website, which is HinghamCommunityCenter.org, and let us know. Let us know maybe if they, if we talked about things that they were thinking about but didn't have a chance to tell anybody.
Yes.
We can do things. If we get it out there and we understand what we're supposed to do, give us some direction, because we would love to make your dreams come true too.
Excellent. Thank you again.